Well, would you look at that? Bitcoin surging above 120K. Today is July 17th, and in this video today, I'm going to explain to you guys exactly why you need to be holding Bitcoin. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while and you've been sticking with my market updates, you probably already know why you need to be holding Bitcoin. But for those of you who are kind of new to crypto and you don't fully understand what's going on here, I'm going to explain it to you in this video. The way that you need to look at Bitcoin as an asset is that it is a hedge against inflation. Now, I've been saying that now since I started my channel, but I think it's finally starting to click for most of you who watch my videos. If you guys really keep up with the crypto space, you know that the inflation data that has recently come out in the US has been pretty bearish. You know, the expectation has been 2.4%, and it's recently reported that it's 2.7%, but it's actually a lot higher than that considering all of the prices for consumer products increasing due to tariffs and a lot of other reasons. Now, the reason why you have to view Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, it's because there's a fixed supply of Bitcoin, right? There's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist, and that is an immutable number, meaning that it is not going to randomly increase or change. That is the actual cap, okay? And that's important because there is absolutely no cap on any fiat currency that currently exists. And what that really means at the end of the day is that dollars are going to continue to be printed, and there's really just going to be a decrease in value in the US dollar over the next 100 years and for the rest of time, unless something really drastically changes. And you might be saying, well, on chain, I mean, if there's just more dollars out there, then everybody will eventually have more money and, everything will be fine and dandy. But no, you're wrong. Okay, you need to understand the concept of monetary debasement, and if you want a really good example of it, go look at what happened to the pound sterling. Another thing that's happening right now, which concerns me personally, but it seems like everybody is really happy about, is this concept of Trump firing Jerome Powell, who has been an advocate for not cutting rates for the past basically year to basically combat inflation. Okay, and if Jerome Powell does get fired, yes, the markets will probably surge and rates will probably get cut, but inflation will continue to get worse. So honestly, it's probably a good thing for Bitcoin, but long term for the dollar, it's probably a really bad thing. Now, historically, the traditional hedge against inflation has been gold, right? People think that gold is a scarce asset. So, when there is, fears or uncertainty about inflation data, typically gold has done pretty well and the price has increased. But the difference now, and the thing that I think a lot of people are starting to catch up on, is that gold is extremely hard to transport, okay? It's extremely heavy, it's extremely cumbersome to store, and it's generally not a very easy asset to move between hands, okay? And one more thing about gold that I think a lot of people overlook is that we genuinely have no clue how much gold is actually on the planet. So to say it's a truly scarce asset, in my opinion, isn't 100% true because we have no clue how much of it there actually is. So that's why Bitcoin is a solution to these problems, right? Again, there is a fixed supply, right? There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Therefore, it's a truly scarce asset. And that is the absolute baseline context that you need to understand. People are now finally starting to take this asset more seriously, and they are starting to understand the true hedge that it provides. And that's why Wall Street is loading up on Bitcoin right now. And all of these institutions are loading up on Bitcoin right now. But the thing that I really want you guys to now understand is that the buyers of Bitcoin right now at these ranges in the 120K, 110K range, right? They are now setting, in my opinion, a new floor for Bitcoin where it's going to stabilize this asset a lot more than people think. Historically, Bitcoin has been known for its extremely volatile cycles, okay? As you can see here, some of these dips are extremely gnarly, right? But now what is happening and what is changing is that more liquidity is flowing from all over the planet, right? And they are setting this new floor price, in my opinion, around this 80K mark, okay? And I think that, in the future, these dips aren't going to be as bad for specifically Bitcoin. I can't sit here and say the same thing about altcoins because they have different supply mechanics, okay? Like, for example, Solana has an 8% inflation rate. They tried to, change that with a SIMD proposal, but validators shot that idea down. That's a different story. What is really interesting right now is that Bitcoin is finally getting the legitimacy from institutions that is really making it a more trustworthy asset. And that is why it is going to probably continue to increase in price, or maybe if it's not now, I think certainly in the future it is going to continue to explode in price. Because at the end of the day, the dollar used to be backed by gold, and that was where the trust factor came in, right? It wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a piece of paper that, actually had a correlated value to another asset, right? But that is no longer the case, okay? And that is why Bitcoin is the solution, and it is a hedge against inflation, because the government can print however much money they want, and we have absolutely no say or no control over that whatsoever. But there is nobody who can print more Bitcoin or create more of it. Back to the legitimacy piece. At this point, what is really backing the dollar? I personally don't know, and a lot of the research that I try and do doesn't really give me a clear-cut answer. Okay, so at this point, in my opinion, dollars are just pieces of paper. That's seriously how I think about them. High yield savings accounts no longer even produce enough money to make it worth it to park your money into banks. And there's really not that many solutions if you're trying to build wealth for yourself over a long period of time. And that is why you really need to start taking Bitcoin and crypto in general a lot more seriously. So what you're looking at right now is the chart of the M2 money supply. And if you are unfamiliar with what this chart is, it's basically just a measure of the total amount of money available in the US economy that's considered easy to spend or convert to cash. So this includes things like physical money, checking accounts, savings accounts, money market accounts, certificates of deposits. And the simplest way to think about it is that M2 tracks money that's in your pocket or liquid money. And as you can see, it is a legitimate up-only chart, right? In 2020, they did actually change the definition of M2, which is a big reason why the chart takes such a sharp spike upward here. But in my opinion, that's just their way of saying like, oh, don't be scared, whatever. But it's definitely something to be afraid of. So if you're going to take anything away from this short video today, please let it be this. Stop sitting on your cash and stop letting it collect dust in a bank account. Okay, if you are not earning at least 3 to 5% on your money at this point, you are getting chewed up and spit out because of inflation. And by the looks of things, inflation is only going to get worse. So please prepare yourself accordingly. Now, if you really want to surround yourself with people in the crypto space who actually know what's going on and really keep up with these markets daily, please feel free to hop into my Discord community. It's 100% free and it always will be. And if you need a little bit more help as to understand what's going on in the markets, whether it's on Solana or Bitcoin or any market, feel free to hop into my WAP community. It's $6 to join, and that's going to be the price for now. This is without a doubt the most exciting time in existence to be a crypto investor. And if you haven't started exploring yet, you should really hop in and start exploring some of these ecosystems. It will, I think, pay off for you in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching the video today. Start stacking up your Bitcoin and look for dips because I'm sure there are going to be plenty of them.